Flashback 2.3 Athlone Castle Museum. The next morning, my hotel phone rang. "Mr. Seaborn, your driver is here. He says he will take you to your appointment." I thought, we did not order a taxi, much less a driver. I answered, "Okay, we'll be down in maybe 15 minutes. The hotel clerk replied, "Of course, Mr. Seaborn. I will inform the driver." I called the rest of the team and informed them that we had to hasten to get ready and grab something to eat on the go because an unexpected car and driver had showed up for us. As we all descended the staircase from our second-floor rooms to the hotel lobby, we were even more surprised. The car and driver that had showed up was our Hitler mustached man with his blazing taxi's black van. Deputy Taylor exclaimed, "Okay, this is not normal. Why is this taxi so far from the airport that he was operating in?" The driver heard and replied, "Midnight hire, stayed night, drive firm." The answer was reasonable, though it felt unlikely. What were the odds that he was in the area and Midnight and Associates happened to contact him to arrange for him to pick us up at the airport, and then now here from the hotel to go to East Athlone and West Athlone? It all didn't make any sense. It seemed very implausible. I could not decide if the driver had difficulty communicating in English or if he had difficulty communicating entirely. His pronunciation and speech and just how he talked, it wasn't normal. His words were poor, they were thick, they were broken, they were almost unintelligible half the time. He used short words with bad grammar, weird pauses, elongated phrases, if not just words. He simply had difficulty talking. Uneasy, like we were taking the blazing taxi from the airport to the hotel, we once again piled into the intimidating black van with its severely contrasting italicized, fiery, blazing taxi's logo emblazoned on its side. I joked as we left the hotel, "We're off to see the wizard." Katie smiled at me while she cupped her right palm, fresh rose-shaped scar, with her left hand as if to hide it. It had come to this moment, this momentous time. We were about to learn, finally, the details about Aunt Millmore. We drove through the old-world city of Athlone. It had vampire movie Transylvania vibes. The taxi had an extra low rumble as it drove over cobblestone streets. Apparently, Athlone is split into two halves, one on the east side of the River Shannon and the other on the west side of the River Shannon. As we meandered the streets to get to a bridge, we saw an all-white rail bridge that crossed the river. I had done some reading in the hotel about an all-white bridge that connected East and West Athlone, built apparently sometime in 1851. Curiously, despite emphasizing the all-whiteness of the bridge, there was no explanation in the booklet as to why the bridge was white. It just said, "Go check out the white bridge." History is weird, I suppose, and often it's not communicated or documented. So we crossed the River Shannon. We turned up towards what appeared to be a castle. Yeah, a castle. We drove straight towards a little castle. As we approached the castle, which had clearly been modernized into some kind of museum for public to enter and learn about Athlone and its long history, as we had entered, apparently since 1210 AD. And by the way, my Athlone brochure from the hotel had lots of details about the castle, and I had a near photographic memory, so it was always helpful. I did not expect we were going to actually go to the Athlone castle that had been converted to a museum, so I challenged the driver. "We are going to the law firm of Midnight and Associates. We are not going on a tour or to this castle or its museum. What are we doing here?" The driver cleared his throat. Midnight. Inside. Midnight. Inside. He pulled into an empty parking lot. It seemed no one with a car was at the castle today except for us. It made no sense unless there was a parking for employees somewhere else. Or the lawyers, if they were truly inside, where did they park? Was there some kind of bus or transportation that they would use? Honestly, it was a little bewildering, an empty parking lot, but being told people were inside. The driver then said, I wait. Wait. I wait. We exited the van and entered the castle, which oddly did not have a drawbridge. Another strange thing, apparently, in this castle Athlone. As we entered the museum through its tourist main door, a renewed sense of anxiety came over me. There was not a single person anywhere to be seen. It was empty, just like the parking lot. The castle was completely empty, devoid of all people. Bob looked visibly shaken and spoke, Something wicked this way comes. Using a Shakespearean Macbeth reference about the three witches of Hecate from hell foretelling of danger and potential deception. Katie frowned at Bob. Why add to the fear, Bob? I'm already scared. The deputy cautioned, Let me lead, in case we encounter something that we need to deal with. We all nodded and happily let Taylor take point ahead of us. The deputy complained, Why do they make such a deal out of transporting firearms? Deputy Taylor was right. The airports and customs and immigration did not look approvingly at anyone transporting firearms, especially civilians. They had strong travel restrictions, especially about guns, bombs, lithium batteries. Yeah, batteries that they would allege could bring down a jetliner. Well, who knows? Maybe they could. Maybe they can't. And well, Deputy Taylor was, technically, no longer law enforcement, since she had resigned her position to come with us on this journey. Combine that with her anti-vax, gray exit from the military stain on her government record, transporting firearms was not just going to happen, at least not legally, and she was not going to break the law. Unfortunately, customs and immigration terminals, police displays, and background checks would all flag Deputy Taylor as a track and dangerous person, apparently due to her being a trained combatant. The only information agents and police apparently though would see about her was track, dangerous, weapons expert, classified ex-military information only available, contact Federal United States of America. I felt like it translated to, none of your dang business, we are the dang US of A. So basically, she was top secret something and they couldn't know. Deputy Taylor griped, well, at least we have knives. She directed us, now is the time to pull them from your bag or whatever you put them. Strap them to your belt so you have quick access should something go sideways. Keep them in their sheaths. We don't want anyone scared, cutting themselves, or anything like that. Yeah, we had cool Damascus steel Bowie survival knives per Deputy Taylor's orders. They had what she called full tang buffalo horn handles. They were 6-inch long blades that kind of resembled intimidating kitchen butcher knives. And we had nylon sheaths to loop onto our utility belts. We felt like Batman sometimes, which some might honestly consider old school fanny packs, but we're not going there. I guess they're called in Ireland waist packs since fanny means something else. We had all sorts of useful tools and items in our belt packs though, so we were really prepared, at least so I thought. Wearing a knife in public places though felt kind of silly, but it did make me feel a lot more like a Batman for real with my Indiana Jones or Crocodile Dundee knife and all that cool stuff. Of course, both Batman and Indiana Jones had wild, life-threatening adventures. I imagined that we may be up for some crazy stuff, but I didn't think we were going to be up for bigger than life like Indiana Jones epic stuff or Batman sagas. Then again, my adventure with Aaron Graywell ranked right up there with any Indiana Jones or Batman scene. I felt kind of empowered again, as you're probably noticing. I did feel like Indiana Jones or Batman with that big knife. I imagined having a holstered pistol would even make me more powerful. Things were getting exciting. We attached our survival knives per direction to our utility belts. We followed Deputy Taylor's direction. The deputy's knife was a little more impressive than our survival knives. It was like a giant curved 10-inch Crocodile Dundee huge knife. It had terrifying bladed ridges along its top and a pointed curved tip, and there were these hollowed sections in the middle of the blade, presumably to help combat somehow. She called the knife a zombie knife, in honor of efficiently and swiftly killing zombies. Well, it was wicked and it was scary by any other knife standard, so I guess sure, it was a zombie killing knife. But whatever it was, it had to be the scariest knife that I'd ever seen in my life. And I'd seen some scary knives. She explained that she had the knife since her military career and that she named it Justice. She joked that she had always had justice nearby. Of course, she was referring to her knife. And she also said it was always with her whenever she was on mission. Deputy Taylor may not have a gun, but she was clearly ready for a fight with her zombie blade. We found a greeter's desk, but the greeting kiosk was abandoned just like every other place in the Castle Museum. The lights were set to a twilight, which I surmised indicated the museum was not actually open for business. That would explain why there was no one around. We found a velvet roped-off area in front of two huge white double doors. The double doors seemed as good of a place as any to investigate. We wandered towards the exhibits through the huge white double doors. Every exhibit was off, except for one in the far back of the massive twilight-lit exhibit chamber. The lone active exhibit at its far back had its light shining down from above, like a wide beam of light cast down from the rafters onto a stage. It was far, dark, and distant to make out from where we were, so we advanced towards it. As we approached the lit exhibit, a voice whispered in my ear very faintly, "White, white, descend, descend, heed." H.R. Bob looked gravely at me and said, "Did you hear that? Something just whispered in my ear." Katie blurted, "Yeah, white, descend, descend, heed. I heard it too." The deputy nodded. She clearly had heard it as well. Okay, the whisper was real. This was nuts. Who or what, somehow, was talking to us? How were we hearing it? Katie gasped, seeing the exhibit was of a knight donning white garb with red ankh, looking cross-stitched armor. The knight was bent over with his head in a guillotine. The placard was entitled, "The Downfall of the Knights Templar." It explained the Knights Templar had abandoned the church and the crown and so were all executed. I had heard of the Knights Templar in my youth, in movies and in video games. They were supposed to be some kind of independent warriors of God, independent of the church and independent of the monarchy. It sounded great, but when the apparently challenges came that put the Knights Templar in opposition of both the church and the crown, they were destroyed and forgotten into the annals of time, more into legends. It appeared this exhibit was attempting to capture the symbolic end of the Knights Templar, the end of God's warriors. Deputy Taylor walked right up to the exhibit, onto the stage, and pulled her wicked-looking knife out. She leaned forward and pushed a massive draping banner right behind that had the knight's crest upon it, and it revealed a narrow white door behind the wall. Cautiously, she touched, then grasped and turned the doorknob on that door in the wall. It opened. Yep, nothing happened. She opened a door. We had discovered, though, behind the door was a staircase that descended deep into the unknown. Conveniently, though, the staircase was lit with modern LED sconces. We descended, our hands on knives' hilts, at the ready. I had to wonder, were we overreacting and letting our imaginations get the better of us? Objectively, we had traveled to Athlone and then to this castle museum, And the only weird thing really was that no one was around anywhere and it was unlocked. And that going with this place was closed when we arrived, then nothing is unreasonable. In fact, we're the crazies that broke in an unlocked building and pulled out scary knives. Well, I was following Deputy Taylor's lead and command. We all were. She said get the knives out, so we did. I imagine Deputy Taylor knows when real danger is around, and we're going to do what she says until we know otherwise. She thought it was dangerous? Well, it must have been dangerous.